Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi describes June 30th revolution as the eternal revolution that marked the beginning of a new republic. The US President firmly denies engaging in any talks with Iran. And Britain's High Court rules that continuing exporting F-35 fighter jet components to Israel is lawful. You're watching Q News. I'm Henny Saif, and on the 12th anniversary of the June 30th revolution, the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi described it as the eternal revolution that marked the beginning of a new republic. Speaking on the 12th anniversary of the revolution, President el-Sisi affirmed that Egyptians reclaimed Egypt's identity, confronted terrorism, thwarted attempts of extortion, and redirected the state to its rightful path. The Egyptian leader highlighted the achievements made since 2013, emphasizing Egypt's commitment to stability and comprehensive development. President el-Sisi called for peace in the region, asserting that true peace is built on justice, understanding, and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has affirmed that Libya's stability is integral to Egypt's national security. During a meeting with the Libyan National Army Commander-in-Chief, Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar, President el-Sisi emphasized Egypt's commitment to supporting Libya's security, unity, and sovereignty. El-Sisi also highlighted the importance of a coordinated political roadmap to facilitate simultaneous presidential and parliamentary elections in Libya, while stressing on the necessity of confronting foreign intervention and the withdrawal of foreign troops and mercenaries from all Libyan territories. For his part, Field Marshal Haftar expressed his deep gratitude for Egypt's pivotal role in restoring stability in Libya. The Libyan National Army's Commander-in-Chief also praised Egypt's contribution to Libya's development through exporting its developmental model to the country. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has affirmed Egypt's full support for IAEA's role in nuclear verification under the Non-Proliferation Treaty that came during his call with the International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi. Well, Abdulati stressed the importance of a ceasefire between Iran and Israel and the need for diplomatic solutions to the Iranian nuclear file. Grossi praised Egypt's efforts to reduce regional tensions, commended Cairo's mediation role, and appreciated his recent meeting with the Egyptian president, which reinforced support for peaceful settlement and nuclear disarmament. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has emphasized the necessity of solidifying the ceasefire between Iran and Israel. That came during his call with his Iranian counterpart, Abbas Araghchi, where the Egyptian foreign minister highlighted the importance of collaborative efforts to maintain calm and prevent further escalation, which would enhance regional security and stability. Abdulati also stressed the urgent need to resume negotiations on Iran's nuclear program as a means to build trust and reduce tensions, advocating for diplomatic solutions to ensure regional peace. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has emphasized the urgent need to resume the ceasefire in Gaza and release detainees, aiming for sustainable peace in the region. That came during his call with the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, where he highlighted the critical humanitarian situation. Abdulati affirmed Egypt's intention to host an international conference for Gaza's recovery post-ceasefire. He also stressed on the importance of a political solution for Palestinian statehood and urged compliance from Israel and Iran to reduce tensions and foster diplomatic efforts. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has reaffirmed Egypt's unwavering support for the Palestinians and their rights. That came during his call with Palestinian Foreign Minister Farisin Agabikan, where he congratulated her on her new role. The Egyptian Foreign Minister highlighted Egypt's efforts to resume the ceasefire in Gaza in collaboration with Qatar and the US, and condemned Israeli aggression and collective punishment against Palestinians. He emphasized Egypt's commitment to a political solution for an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital.
We're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death.
US President Donald Trump has firmly denied engaging in any talks with Iran or offering the country anything, sharply contrasting his approach with that of former President Obama. Trump reiterated on social media that the US had totally obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. The statement follows media reports suggesting that the Trump administration considered helping Iran access up to $30 billion to develop a civilian nuclear energy program. Last week, Trump announced a ceasefire between Israel and Iran after a month of escalating conflict, underscoring the fragile security situation in the region amid ongoing war in Gaza. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has informed his French counterpart that the International Atomic Energy Agency's double standards have exacerbated regional and global security crises. Pezeshkian stated that Israel launched an attack during negotiations with Washington, ignoring Iran's assurances of not pursuing nuclear weapons. Additionally, he criticized the IAEA director for lacking impartiality and described Parliament's decision to suspend cooperation with the agency as a natural response to its unconstructive behavior. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai had logical and media games, rather than serious diplomatic efforts. Baghai accused the US under Trump's leadership of coordinating with Israel to carry out a military attack on Iran just as nuclear talks were about to resume. He condemned the attack as blatant aggression under international law and demanded the United Nations Security Council officially recognize the US and Israel as aggressors and hold them accountable. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai stressed that the International Atomic Energy Agency must operate within the framework of its law and regulations, free from political pressure. He also announced that formation of a legal committee in Tehran to submit official reports to the international body regarding the Israeli strikes and the damage they caused to Iran, emphasizing that these attacks constitute a blatant violation of international law. Baghai accused the report by Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency, of being one of the pretext for the attack on Iranian nuclear facilities on June 13th. According to Iran's judiciary spokesperson, Asghar Jahanagir, at least 935 people have been killed in the recent conflict between Israel and Iran. Citing the latest forensic data, Jahanagir reported that the casualties include 132 women and 38 children. The 12-day war, described by Jahanagir as being waged by the Zionist regime, has resulted in significant loss of life. Iranian media reported that the wreckage of an Israeli drone, which was shot down by Iranian air defenses, has been found in Loristan province in western Iran. Earlier, the Iranian air defense forces had announced the interception of more than 130 Israeli drones since the start of the Israeli offensive. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar stated that Israel's war against Iran had a direct and tangible contribution to Europe's security, claiming that the targeted Iranian ballistic missiles were capable of reaching deep into the European continent. He added that Israel destroyed drones used by Iran in the war in Ukraine, effectively linking the Middle Eastern theater with the Russian-Ukraine war.
With regard to the ICC, after the arrest warrants against our Prime Minister and our former Defense Minister, and that demonstrated
And for more analysis on this story, we now move to Salma Al-Fi in our newsroom. Salma.
Thank you, Hani. And for further analysis, we are joined from Ramallah by the political analyst, Dr. Ashraf Hakka. Welcome, sir, to Qnews. Let me start off by asking you, could we witness a nuclear agreement, you think, between Iran and the United States in the near future?
I don't think we're going to see that soon, and Iran has taken things for escalations. And I think there will be negotiations between the US and Iran without international guarantees, and Iran might accept the negotiations in the framework of the five-way international trend before the US strike, and I don't think there will be negotiations soon. Especially that the Iranian side considered what happened of military procedures and operations, and U.S. Deception was aiming to trick Iran into giving up any form of nuclear program, whether peaceful or not. And under these circumstances, there will be no negotiations, and the political statements by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Iran that they are rejecting any negotiations, and they are leaving some sort of door open to negotiate with the European Troika to engage Russia and China in these negotiations.
Dr. Akka, do you think Netanyahu could actually reignite a war with Iran soon in an attempt to save himself from prosecution?
I think so. If Trump was not able to save him, and given the internal interaction with the within Israel, with the Israeli public, as Netanyahu, if he does not guarantee the proposed four drafts for tying Netanyahu to the bloodshed and prosecuting him, Netanyahu does not want to give up political action, and he wants to run for the next election, and that's why he would take any measures necessary to remain in office, and he would head into further escalation. That's one side of the story, but let's wait to see what would Trump decide and what is the posture of the United States. There are preparations for in order to visit the United States to prep for Netanyahu's visit. Is it going to lead to a truce in Gaza and a truce with Syria? There are talks regarding Israel reaching a phase that these are dramatic days, and how they are expanding in the region and concluding more agreements. Any war would go against this trend and against peace in the region. Will Trump be able to force Netanyahu, who is now captive to the desires of Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is now a captive for Trump's desire. And right now he is not only requesting not to be prosecuted, but he also once promised to remain in office. And we are witnessing an unfamiliar state of politics between the two countries, and the U.S. signals mark that Israel is now doing its natural duty as a tool for the U.S. in the region, and I don't think Netanyahu will be able to exceed the U.S. desires.
Okay, Dr. Akka, how do you view Iran's statements against the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, of not cooperating with it anymore? What do you think?
These statements are related to the Iranian understanding of the agency's role and the Grossi's statement in this regard. And I think in general, let's understand that after the US-Israeli strikes on the Iran nuclear reactors, Iran is heading for North Korea. Iran took things very seriously into escalation and more conflict, and not to go back to a negotiation phase or on the or to follow in the Libyan footsteps. Now Iran is supported by Russia and China, and they might take things away from the US desires, and they might actually ignore the international agencies, but the international agencies now have biases and they should not do that. And the last report issued by the agency was politicized.
Especially Dr. Akka, I'll have to interrupt, and that was Dr. Ashraf Akka from Ramallah, the political analyst. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Q News. And now we go back to Hani Saif in our studio. Hani.
Thank you, Selma. From Iran, we now move on to the latest developments in Gaza. At least 10 Palestinians have been killed this morning when Israeli warplanes targeted an aid distribution warehouse in the El Zaytun neighborhood south of Gaza City. Medical sources reported that the attack raised the death toll in Gaza to 27 since dawn. According to the United Nations reports, over 550 Palestinians have been killed attempting to access food at Israeli-American distribution points. The ongoing conflict in Gaza, now entering its 21st month, has resulted in nearly 189,000 Palestinians killed or wounded, most of them women and children, with over 11,000 still missing. Palestinian families have fled northern Gaza and Jabalia to Sheikh Radwan area following Israeli military evacuation orders ahead of expected intensified fighting with Hamas. The evacuation covered Jabalia and much of Gaza City. as Israeli bombardments escalated overnight, destroying homes and killing at least 6 people. In the southern city of Qnews, 5 were killed in an airstrike on a tent encampment, while at least 12 others died in separate strikes and gunfire across Gaza, bringing Sunday's death toll to 23. Britain's High Court has ruled that the government's decision to continue exporting F-35 fighter jet components to Israel was lawful, even after acknowledging the risk that they could be used in violations of international humanitarian law in Gaza. The legal challenge was brought by Al-Haq, a rights group based in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, which argued that the UK had breached its international legal obligations, including those under the Geneva Convention. The case followed Britain's partial suspension of arms export licenses to Israel last year, though F-35 parts were explicitly excluded. The UK government said halting exports of those parts would disrupt a vital global supply chain and potentially undermine US confidence in Britain and NATO, citing broader international security concerns. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has addressed members of the domestic intelligence agency Shin Bet following the recent departure of its former head Ronen Bar. Netanyahu stated that Israel had eliminated 2 deadly threats to its survival, but emphasized that the immediate priority is to bring back the remaining detainees held in Gaza. Currently, 50 detainees remain captive, with officials estimating around 20 are still alive. Bar stepped down on June 15th amid tensions with Netanyahu's government. Israeli occupation forces have issued demolition orders targeting 104 homes and buildings in the Tulkarm refugee camp in the northern West Bank. Residents were given 72 hours to file objections and evacuate the properties. Tulkarm Governor Abdullah Kamil condemned the demolitions, calling on the international community, human rights organizations, and relevant UN bodies to urgently intervene to halt the actions. He described the demolitions as part of a broader campaign of systematic destruction aimed at forcibly displacing residents. Israeli forces have maintained an offensive in Tulkarm camp for 155 consecutive days and in the nearby Nur Shams camp for 142 days. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar has announced that Israel aims to expand the Abraham Accords to include neighboring Syria and Lebanon, emphasizing a desire for normalization and peace in the region. However, Sa'ar firmly stated that the Golan Heights, annexed by Israel in 1981, will remain an inseparable part of Israel in any peace deal. Speaking alongside Austria's Minister of European and International Affairs, Betty Minel Reisner, Sa'ar welcomed Syria and Saudi Arabia into the circle of peace. Minel Reisner highlighted the urgent need for a ceasefire in Gaza due to worsening humanitarian conditions, with Austria pledging €3 million in aid via the International Red Cross. These are all the news we have for now, but here's a reminder of today's main stories. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi describes June 30th revolution as the eternal revolution that marked the beginning of a new republic. The US President firmly denies engaging in any talks with Iran. And Britain's High Court rules that continuing exporting F-35 fighter jet components to Israel is lawful. This concludes our news bulletin for now, but please don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEGY to stay informed. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates coming up here on Q News.